Welcome to the MLB Slate Breakdown. I'm Jason Gilbo. With me is Brent Hyde. Taking a look at tonight's 5-game slate. Could be 4, could be 3, could be 2, could be just single-game slates. Who knows?
I'm sure the sites would prefer that it was a single-game slate because then they could just, put out a terrible product with a really high rake and people would just feed money to it.
It took us 10 seconds to shit on whatever site we wanted to.
Sorry to rain on your parade.
And there's a lot of rain going on tonight. That Washington all day is supposed to be rain. Atlanta got some thunderstorms going on, so this could be a pretty short slate. Hopefully we get some news ahead of time, and maybe just focus your attention on the early slate.
That could probably be rained out too.
Yeah, so fun. Here we go. First game here, you got New York and Washington. Max Scherzer taking on CC Sabathia. This is one of the games that's probably the biggest concern here. And even for the continuation game that they're trying to get in, which I haven't seen a continuation in how long?
Yeah, it's been quite a while. I don't know if this game is even going to play. I guess we'll get a pretty good indication based on how they handle the continuation game. If they're not able to get that game in, then I highly doubt they're going to try to get this game in, which I'm fine with because I don't really have any interest in, outside of the pitchers, any interest in this game that much.
No, it's like Scherzer and then a couple one-off Washington bats here against Sabathia, and that's kind of it. Like it really isn't that appealing of a game. The only thing that sucks is it'll just drive ownership elsewhere.
Yeah, it will. Honestly, if this game does play, I kind of like Sabathia, especially at his price on DraftKings. He's 5,300. I know he had a bad outing last time out against Boston, but he was super, super unlucky. If you go back and look, I think you and I both actually looked at it the day after. Most of those hits that came against him, they had teens percentage of actually being hits. Just super, super unlucky. He's been so good since returning from that hip injury. I actually really, really like him in the spot against the Nationals, who are not good against lefties.
And I think he'll be the lesser owned cheap option because you have 3 or 4 cheap options on this slate. And I think Sabathia will be the one that people just tend to fade.
Probably because if you look at it, there are a couple bats that you do kind of worry about, Rendon, Howie Kendrick, Michael Taylor, I guess, who is actually a pretty viable value bat on this slate if you need it. But I think this is a great spot for Sabathia, assuming this game plays.
Yeah, none of those guys hit sliders particularly well. Rendon at least makes some contact, 78%. He's the main guy that I have interest in, is Rendon, just because, he's super cheap, 3,800 facing a lefty. Sign me up.
Yeah, it just comes down to I would rather play a couple other third basemen over him, like Justin Turner, even though I'm pretty much done with the Dodgers, and Chris Bryant if I'm paying up. But yeah, Rendon's a fine mid-range option. Like I said, Howie Kendrick, Michael Taylor, the other guys that I would really be looking at. And the biggest knock against CC and why I'm definitely not going to use him on FanDuel is the fact that he's probably not going to get the win.
No, and he's a guy who will kind of top out at 5-6 innings too at times.
Yeah, for sure.
So Scherzer, I'm definitely okay with using him here tonight. Ton of strikeout upside here against this Yankees team that strikes out quite a bit. If it rains out, obviously I think the easy pivot here is to Chris Sale.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. If this game doesn't play, Scherzer to Sale is probably the easy pivot. When I wrote the cheat sheets, basically the only knock on Scherzer is he's going to give up 1 home run to a lefty.
Yeah, and it's Gardner, Didi, Neil Walker. Who's it going to be?
It's going to end up being Gardner or something, and people are going to be like, what the hell? I played Didi thinking that I'm going to get a lefty home run against Scherzer, and it's going to be that. Or actually, I think Walker has a couple home runs off of him over the past couple years.
And I'm okay with taking a shot on one of the lefties and GPPs.
Yeah, if you need the value.
It's just, it's 5-game slate. It is a way to be contrarian tonight.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Neil Walker, 17 at-bats, 176 batting average, 2 homers, 4 RBIs over the last 5 years. So there you go. There's your lefty homer.
Oakland, Boston next here. A little bit of rain in this one as well, but expected to play. It's supposed to be light. Chris Sale taking on Trevor Cahill. Trevor Cahill being on the slate definitely changes things a little bit.
Yeah, it does, because originally it was supposed to be Kendall Graveman, and I was all in on the Boston Bats. Now that does change a little bit. Like, I'm a little lower on the Boston Bats than I was before, but there's really not a whole lot of bats to consider tonight. So you kind of have to look at the Boston hitters in this spot. But as far as Sale goes, he's obviously in a great spot against a terrible Athletics lineup. Should be smooth sailing for him tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I don't really have interest in taking any like Oakland bats against him, even to be contrarian here.
No, I don't really either. I just don't really see a reason to.
Yeah. Cahill side things here. Ground ball guy, 57% ground ball rate dating back to last year. Does have some strikeout stuff, 25% in that span. I don't feel like he's as bad against righties as like his numbers indicate.
He's probably not, but that's all we have to go off of. So on a slate like this, we just kind of have to hope that he actually is. And if that's going to be the case, obviously Mookie Betts and JD Martinez are excellent options here. Both hit sinkers pretty darn well. Both have decent power against the pitch. So those would be two guys to really look at. And then Xander Bogaerts obviously still in a good spot. I definitely prefer the righties over the lefties, though.
Yeah, I do too. I think the only guy that maybe look at from the left side would maybe be like a JBJ because he's 2,500. And a guy who's been rather lucky, just continues to hit the ball hard, but just can't get on. It's like he's a value guy if you desperately need it. And then like if Mitch Moreland gets in the lineup, I'd have some interest as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say Moreland, JBJ, maybe Brock Holt if he's down towards the bottom of that lineup as another value option.
Yeah. LA and Miami next here. LA offense just continues to just spud out in good spots. I think both these pitchers are viable here.
I do as well. Caleb Smith, a guy, decent strikeouts upside this season. Obviously, I don't think he's nearly as good as he has been. There's probably going to be some negative regression as far as just him struggling at times. Still issues with hard contact to both sides of the plate. Like, I'm so done with the Dodgers. Every single time they're in really, really good spots, they just suck. But I don't know. It's kind of tough, especially if some of these games get rained out. We're going to have to go back to the well. Obviously, Justin Turner in a good spot here. I hate the Dodgers so much.
I do too. It's like I'm almost using Caleb Smith out of like spite here because one, I mean, he does have strikeout stuff. The walks are an issue. Like you said, hard contact is there, but I think given the fact that he's missing a ton of bats, like 37% whiff rate on his slider, 34% on his changeup, like he's got some good secondary stuff. His fastball is pretty pedestrian. That's where he could get hurt. You mentioned Turner, just because he hits sliders really, really well. 383 WOBA, 221 ISO with an 80% contact rate. Like, I'm definitely okay going back to Justin Turner here because he hasn't let me down like the other Dodgers bats have because he hasn't had the opportunity to yet.
Yeah, like I'm looking at mostly the righties here because Caleb Smith, dating back to last season, does have a massive fly ball rate, 51% to righties. So obviously, again, Justin Turner. Chris Taylor, Matt Kemp, these guys, Austin Barnes, if he's the guy that gets in the lineup again, I don't mind going there. And obviously, Kike Hernandez continues to be the platoon guy that would want to target. The downside is that, obviously, if Smith does get knocked out of the game early, Kike is probably coming out with him. And that does suck if he doesn't, reach value before he gets pulled from the game.
Yeah. Like, I'm okay with using him. Like you said, like we could be forced to kind of go with him, which I'm okay with. If that's the case, then it's like, all right, then I'll use it to a couple Dodgers bats. But say all 5 games play, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, Yasiel Puig has been heating up lately. He's a little bit interesting. And then again, Logan Forsythe back in the lineup. He's really, really cheap across the industry, so I don't mind going there either. Yeah,
2,700 on DraftKings. So like, if you're going with an aces and paying up on the hill, there are a couple of guys that are below 3K that you can use.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Walker Buehler against Miami. Walker Buehler continues to be solid. A guy that I don't mind. He's kind of that only guy in the mid-range here before you really completely dive down. 8,500, reasonable price tag on him. I will note, I think the Dodgers line dropped quite a bit here overnight.
Did it? That's kind of interesting.
At least their implied total did, because their implied total was like 4.4, 4.3 at some point. Now it's down to 3.9.
That's interesting.
But I don't mind Walker Buehler here. I don't know if he's going to be a guy I get a lot of exposure to, though.
I don't know if he is either, just because I don't see myself paying in that mid-range tonight. And again, as has been the case with every pitcher that we've talked about going against the Marlins, if you take guys like Lewis Brinson out of that lineup, you take a lot of strikeouts out of that lineup. You still have, Cameron Maybin, Derek Dietrich that are striking out, above 23%. But for the most part, this team just not a strikeout-prone offense. So if you want to go there, that it's fine. He's still a fine option. He's priced pretty fairly across the industry. He's a pretty big discount off of what he was last time out. So I don't mind it. It's just one of those things where I do worry a little bit about the strikeout upside.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm not really going there, because you kind of have a couple cheaper guys like Richards and Caleb Smith that do have some strikeout upside for like $3K less on DraftKings. And I think I'm kind of starting to look as like more, we're going to be talking DK here, because of a lot of these pitchers are kind of more only DK viable.
Yeah, if you're playing on FanDuel, I don't really see a reason to fade the Scherzer, Sale, Verlander price range. But Buehler's 9,500 there, so I guess if Scherzer gets rained out and Sale maybe gets rained out, then you're looking at Verlander and Buehler.
Yeah, but like you said, is Miami team still 77% contact rate this year against right-handers. Like you said, they just make a ton of contact. And looking at the fastball, which is something that Buehler throws, this 30% strikeout rate he has is not going to hold just based off his pitches. I think it's just one of those things where teams are just going to have to start adjusting to him at some point. The good thing is, obviously, high velocity fastball averaging 97 this year. Not really a team that really hits those well outside of a couple of guys, especially for power. I will say I do like a one-off Justin Bour here at 3K.
Yeah, I don't mind that. And to be fair, most teams don't hit 97, 98 mile an hour fastballs very well.
No, if you didn't know, that's a very hard thing to do.
It is very, very hard to hit fastballs that come at you at 98 miles an hour.
Anyone else here that you like?
No.
Chicago, Atlanta, scattered thunderstorms in this one. Couldn't really get a confirmation as far as this one would play or not, which that concerns me, because usually these things are like, okay, Atlanta, you got some thunderstorms, they'll wait it out, but it's not a for sure thing here.
Yeah, this doesn't look like it's the typical Atlanta, pop-up showers that happen this time of year. It looks like it's a more formed thunderstorm. So that is a little bit concerning. We'll have to keep an eye on it, obviously. And you definitely want to, because this is one of the games where there are two sides of offenses that I do want to target.
Yeah, this is the offensive game that I think a lot of people are going to gravitate towards, because you do have two kind of clear-cut options that you can actually target in consideration to some of the other games. I really like the Braves here, and I think because the Cubs are going to be super popular in this one, I like the Braves side a little bit more.
Yeah, the Braves are interesting. I kind of highlighted the three guys that I like most in the cheat sheets, and Freddie Freeman obviously is definitely one of them. Just great power numbers against right-handed pitching dating back to last season, and great power numbers against Chatwood's primary pitch mix. So he's the guy I do have a lot of interest in if I'm playing the Braves over the Cubs. Ozzie Albies, again, continues to be an excellent option. And then Nick Markakis, definitely in play here as a cheaper way to get exposure to the Braves, because Albies and Freeman are both above 5K, and then you drop down to Markakis down to 4,400. And I guess even Ender Inciarte in play here as well, he's actually been freaking really good recently.
Yeah, hitting the ball well. And you mentioned Chatwood, a guy, will throw that sinker and fastball quite a bit. And Albies and Freeman just get a ton of lift. Below 40% ground ball rate against sinkers. Albies 300 ISO in his career against sinkers. Yeah, I don't mind paying up for some of those guys.
Yeah, and even it feels crazy to overlook Acuna and the righties, the whatever righty catcher option gets in the lineup, but I'm okay with doing that, just because I don't want to pick on Chatwood that much outside of guys that are outside of the left-handed bats.
Yeah, he's pretty solid against right-handers. Lefties is really where I want to go.
Yeah, and don't overlook like Camargo, especially like on FanDuel where you might need a cheap shortstop option. He's definitely interesting if he's in the lineup. I would prefer Flaherty get in the lineup. I don't know why he hasn't been getting in, but he's a good value option too.
Well, when you can play Jose Bautista there.
Yeah.
I think it's to put asses in the seats a little bit there.
I mean, I'm sure people do want to see Bautista over like Flaherty, just the name value itself, but like Flaherty's probably actually better than Bautista at this point, even though he did go yard, 2 games ago?
Yeah.
He's gone yard a couple times.
Cubs side things here, McCarthy kind of falling off the wagon a little bit here.
Yeah, I had to refrain from trolling him today on Twitter because I actually like Brandon McCarthy. Like, I think he's a great like Twitter personality, but like he tweeted out, that whole Yanni Laurel thing that's going around. He tweeted out that like people that hear Yanni, their ears are about as effective as Major League Baseball's replay system. And like I wanted to quote tweet him and be like, so basically they're about as effective as your two-seam fastball, because his two-seam fastball is not effective at all. But I didn't want him to block me because I actually like him.
Yeah, you don't want to piss off Brandon McCarthy.
No, he's fun.
I like the Cubs side of things here, and I think a lot of people will tonight. One of the higher run totals here, and it's weird that both are sitting with both an implied 4.8 total tonight. But I think a lot of the ownership will gravitate towards the Cubs here.
Yeah, I'm okay with it gravitating towards the Cubs. There's a lot of good Cubs bats to look at here. Right-handed hitters have been doing damage against him. 405 WOBA against him this season. Makes Chris Bryant an excellent option. 207 ISO against sinkers. Good numbers against right-handed pitching, 224, 377 WOBA dating back to last season. Something that I noticed with McCarthy is he's really been peppering like the bottom center portion of the strike zone, especially when he's facing right-handed hitters. And that's not a good thing when you're facing Chris Bryant, because Chris Bryant has posted like a 561 WOBA just off pitches like in that bottom center of the strike zone. So if McCarthy's peppering that portion of the strike zone, Bryant's probably going to punish him tonight.
Yeah, I think Bryant's one of those guys I'm really looking to dial in and pay up for, outside of like a Freddie Freeman. And I don't mind like the Wilson Contreras or like Javier Baez is here as well. Whatever leadoff guy gets in here, it's been Zobrist of late. I don't mind him either.
I have a feeling like Madden's gonna roll out like freaking like Ian Happ leadoff or something like that. He's gonna strike out 6 times tonight.
Yeah, because Madden, as much credit as he deserves, he does a lot of stupid stuff.
Yeah, he does. But if it is Zobrist, I don't mind Zobrist in the spot. Obviously, a good option. Not terribly expensive across the industry. 3,500 on DraftKings. I do like that he has second base and outfield eligibility. Where is he? He's only outfield on FanDuel, but he's 2,600 there. So that's a good price. I like Rizzo, Javier Baez. I think Contreras is one of my favorite catching options on the slate. There's only like 2 catching options on the slate anyways.
Yeah, and I don't mind Kyle Schwarber as well for some power upside.
Yeah, for sure.
So, last game of the night, Houston and LA. Garrett Richards take on Justin Verlander. Probably not going to be a lot of offense in this game unless like Richards just like does what he does sometimes and just walks everyone.
Yeah, I have interest in both these pitchers, actually. Like, I think Verlander, because of price and perceived matchup, is going to be like a low owns option, who should actually be able to put up a decent game. Like here, like I don't hate using him if you're trying to fade like Scherzer and Sale in GPPs. I think he's a fine option to pay up for. The flip side, I'm going to continue taking pitchers against the Astros. Like I'm just going to keep on doing it because people still keep on stacking Astros, and they just keep on, for the majority of the time, being terrible against everybody.
Yeah, I don't mind Richards here. Like I like the Verlander pivot away from some of the chalkier options. Of course, I think if the Scherzer thing gets rained out, like that changes a little bit. But I do agree that I think he'll still be the lesser owned guy because I just think Sale will be the guy that everyone locks in. As far as Richards go, like excellent GPP option. If you want to go SP2 in cash, I don't hate it. I do think you have to realize like his floor is just still like 10 fantasy points at times.
Yeah, this slate in and of itself is probably not great for cash if you're on SP2 sites, unless you're going to be paying up for Buehler or 2 stud pitchers. But Richards, as far as tournaments goes, has a ton of upside. Like he's relying on that slider a lot, and that's part of why he gets in trouble with walks, is because he's sometimes not able to control where it goes. But outside of like Josh Reddick and Gurriel, his team doesn't really hit sliders that well.
I think we talked about this yesterday a little bit about those guys being like the only options because they do actually make contact with sliders.
Yep, and Barria ended up posting a really good game because the Houston Astros, man, I don't get it.
Yeah, this year, and the thing that this year they're not making hard contact, like outside of a couple of guys. Like it's a lot of weak contact this season.
Yeah, man, against right-handed pitching, 30.8%. I think it's actually come up like 8% over the past like week. But they're just not making a lot of hard contact. It's kind of weird. I kind of wonder if like last season was just a massively outperforming their actual skill level, or if this year it's just massively underperforming, or if there's maybe it's somewhere in the middle. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I do like Richards here. The names that you mentioned as far as hitters go are probably the only guys I still would have interest in here.
Yeah, Reddick and Gurriel.
And I'm not really looking to target Verlander either.
It would be, I guess, obviously Trout and Upton. Upton continues to hit and has been just ridiculously on fire recently, and he's down at 3,600 because he is facing Verlander. So he would maybe be the only guy that I really have interest in if I'm looking to pay down and trying to get like a home run bat.
This is the first time I feel like we've seen a team priced down facing an ace this year, and it's kind of random that it just happens to Verlander.
Yeah.
Because like Cozart 2,900, Pujols 3K, Otana 3.7, as you said, Upton 3.6. Like those are cheap price tags.
Yeah, and Trout's under 5K for the first time in at least 10 games.
Yeah. So I kind of I don't hate like a Cozart or Upton here in this spot.
Yeah, if you just wanted to try to be super contrarian.
Yeah, that's about it. Home run calls. Do we got enough to make some today?
Wilson Contreras and Justin Turner.
Oh, damn it. I'm going to go Ozzy Albies. I got to find another one. And I'm going to go JBJ.
Gets off the schneid.
Yeah. That's it for us. I'll be back tomorrow with hopefully a drier slate. Supposed to be 9 games, so it should be a better option there tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully tomorrow our podcast is a little bit better.
Yeah. So head over to DaveFantasyCafe.com, check out our tools and content, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Good luck tonight.